What is the social situation? Colleges and universities offer training and qualifications that help the individual onto a specific career path. Going to college or university is voluntary, and you need a certain level of academic ability to attend courses at university level. Colleges and universities employ teaching and support staff. Universities often have lecturers who are also academic researchers. They are not usually qualified as teachers. The teaching and lecturing staff specialise in the areas they teach. Support staff are employed to work with students who have additional needs such as autism, dyslexia, or mental health. What can you expect? Teaching and lecturing staff will support you to learn and pass the qualifications relevant to your course. They are specialists in their area of interest, and you cannot expect them to know all about autism. Teaching and lecturing staff will set coursework and give you feedback about your work. At college or university, you will be expected to do a lot more independent learning than when you went to secondary school. This could mean you will need to take notes at a lecture or plan your own study time. Support staff are employed to work with students to work out what reasonable adjustments are needed to pass the studies. They will be expected to know about autism, but may not understand specifically how it impacts on you. Unspoken rules. Unlike secondary schools, students attending colleges or university courses are expected to be independent. Students have to study more on their own and manage their time without help from their tutors. They are expected to be able to work independently and not need guidance about how to study. If a person has problems with their course, they are expected to tell their tutors about it. One of the explicit rules is about completing assignments and coursework on time. In your course handbook, you will have information about what to do or who to speak with should you have any problems meeting your deadlines. If you are ill whilst at university and need to be away, you will be expected to visit your GP and obtain a sick note. College and university is a place where lots of new relationships begin. Students are expected to socialise and get to know their fellow students. You are expected to manage your time between socialising and completing your coursework. An unspoken rule is to be friendly and interested in others. Students are expected to socialise more than study the initial few weeks of term, but as deadlines come closer, the time spent studying should increase. Challenges for autistic adults.
I suppose when somebody leaves home and goes to university, it's sort of because they're kind of cut off from their family. There's a lot of things that they might have had done for them that they're now no longer being done for them, and planning those things is kind of difficult. Especially, I suppose, because of the way they're executively functioning, that they're not used to that sort of thing. They want to be doing something else, and that's something that can be kind of difficult if you're kind of thrust into that very quickly. Yeah, I suppose it can be kind of hard when you're trying to get to know new people, that there's a certain anxiety around how a person might be, that you're not kind of sure who they're going to be, what they're going to be like, and that can make kind of group projects kind of difficult, because especially if there's a lot of people you've got to get to know and got to get a good rapport with, and you've got to work with them. I suppose if you're not comfortable when you meet them, they're not going to be comfortable with you, and that's going to have an impact. So that kind of thing you really want to be aware of. And I suppose just being aware that that's something that you might have difficulty with is a kind of fix in itself. Like, you want to get to know these people, so anything that you can do to kind of I suppose connect with them is an improvement. So some people can be affected by sensory issues, like if there are, I mean, it could be something small like a mobile phone going off, or it could be something large like a hubbub in the background, lots of people talking, things like that. It can be anything really, and those kind of things can be a detriment to your ability to concentrate, I'd say. And if you're not concentrating on the lecturer, you're getting concentrating on this stuff, and you don't want to be in that situation, so it can be tough. So when you get into a lecture, you're talking with a person, and for the autistic adult, it might be a bit difficult to realise there's a kind of unspoken expectation that you're supposed to not kind of bring your full enthusiasm maybe straight away, that he's got to think about a lot more things than just your one-on-one interaction. And that might come to, don't jump in and ask a bunch of questions that other people might ask the same question that you're thinking. Allow, I suppose, allow for more than just that one-on-one. He might see it not as pure enthusiasm, but as a kind of maybe a disrespect for him. I don't know. And that's something that you want to be aware of, I'd say.
What can professionals do? Be prepared to explain what is expected in the assignments beyond the marking criteria set out in the handbook. Rather than having assignments due end of term, it might be better to stagger deadlines, even if it means handing in some assignments earlier. Allow the person to choose a seat in the room which is comfortable to them from a sensory perspective. Some people might also benefit from being allowed to wear headphones during lectures. Remember, if a person struggles socially, it can have an impact on their studies. Be prepared to give feedback about how the person is getting on socially as well as academically. Some students might benefit from being able to check with a named person to avoid build-up of anxiety. Be clear about your own time constraints. The person may be deeply fascinated by the subject you're teaching and may wish to discuss different aspects of this with you. If you cannot allow time for this, be clear from the onset that you are expected to be working on something else. What can the autistic adult do?
So if you are an autistic adult, there are people at universities and colleges that can help you, and they're called the support team. And they're not going to seek you out. So you've got to be aware if you think you can get any kind of benefit from them, or if you may need some help from them in the future, there's some people that you can go and talk to. And it'd be my advice to be aware of them, and I suppose get to know them, be prepared, use them. Yeah, so if you've got a lot of work on it, it's going to be important to plan. And this is an issue for anybody, so I would suggest getting something that can do that for you, because it's not going to stay in your mind, is it? It's going to be something that's going to slip by and kind of be some last minute thing. And I'd recommend doing that as soon as you can. One of the issues I'd say is actually confronting that issue and thinking about the fact you've got all this work to do, and that ain't going to go away either. So if you can do that and offload that worry into some application, maybe something online, maybe something on your phone, something that you can have with you and rely on, and it's not inside of you, I'd say that's a good idea. So, I mean, if you've got any kind of issue that I'd say comes into the mental area, that it's not something that you want to keep to yourself. You want to go and talk to somebody like a GP or a counsellor or anybody that can help you in that way. And they may be able to say something very simple to you that could help you. And it could be something that changes everything about the way that you are working and the stuff that you're doing. So that's definitely something that I'd recommend doing. At the very first thought, don't leave it, don't put it off. So if you're having a tough time socially, you don't have to do it all on your own. There are places you can go where there are other people who want to talk to you too, and maybe about the same things you kind of care about. So universities have tons of social groups. Whatever you're into, there's going to be somebody that's into it too. So go along, I'd say. Find somebody else who cares about the same things you do and chat.